Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to the final season of our F124 Haas Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back for Season 7. If you missed out on pre-season testing, the video that went live a few days ago earlier on in the week, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But yeah, this season though will be our last of F124 Driver Career Mode. Quickly though, I just want to say a massive thank you as well to everybody for the support on the Salvaging Sauber video that went live a few days ago as well. Obviously, that series will be running over on Matt 2 and 2 Gameplay right the way up until F125 as well then. But we return to the full 24 race schedule, obviously, plus the 6 sprint races. So we're going to have 30 races to try and navigate throughout this final season. Of course, after that dramatic end to Season 6 with Oscar Piastri claiming the crown in a tie for the World Championship between myself and the Australian. 3 drivers covered by just 3 points at the end of last campaign. It was certainly a wild, wild way to finish off Season 6. And I'm hoping that this season as well, we can have some good, big results, fun races, and hopefully a few upsets as well there. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you hit the sub button as well. And of course, if you want to help us out just a little bit more, you can click the join button as well. You'll probably get provided with early access to all the videos from this final season of Career Mode for just £1 a month, as well as a few other little perks and things as well there. But yeah, let's head out then back to Bahrain. The format stays the same as it has done in most recent years. One-shot qualifying, 50% races. Let's do this thing.
Under the bright lights of Bahrain, it is time for qualifying. Grid position up in the air. Who is going to seize the moment?
Well, every single season we've done on F124 has started here in Bahrain. As much as I'm looking forward to Albert Park being the season opener in just a few weeks' time, this place here I think does work pretty well as the championship opener inside F124. Either way there, but it's not often been a good track for me, especially over one lap. I think one of the only really good races we've had here was actually last season, where of course the Haas car that was not very competitive early on, we were able to bring home a podium after basically everything worked out perfectly for me throughout the course of that weekend. But obviously it was Russell and McLaren that made an impact in round 1 of the season last year. Of course, George really did spend a lot of time over the winter trying to refocus and regroup and trying to make sure that he doesn't make the same mistakes this year as he did throughout the last campaign as well. There's a couple of little errors then creeping into our lap so far, just lacking the out-and-out confidence to really try and push this car right towards the limit as we make our way up the hill in towards Sector 3. These cars, though, getting very, very quick inside F124. A little bit away from the apex. Through the final corner there, we're still floating around right towards the bottom of the top 10. We're going to really need to nail the line through this final turn. Clip the apex as best as we can. Get the power down though on the exit of the corner. We're going to just run out of battery on the run towards the line. We go P11 in the end, so my bad qualifying efforts at the end of last season seem to be sticking around. Well, there we go. George Russell will claim pole position there by 0.3 of a second over his teammate, but the Aston Martins locking out the second row as well. Obviously, Alonso alongside his new teammate in Théo Pourchaire. Charles Leclerc beats out both Ferraris. We get out qualified by our teammate Pierre Gasly, and probably more alarmingly than that, in his return to Formula 1, I've been out qualified by Logan Sargent. So I think the less said about that, the better. To be completely honest, Lance Stroll in his return to Williams will split the Saubers right at the rear of the field. But I think it's safe to say that Red Bull now are probably a proper backmarker inside this game. Perez, P16 on the grid.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal. And it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. Formula 1 returns to the desert today and this exceptional 3.36 mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities, and it could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position. edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid we have Fernando Alonso, Teo Porcher, Leclerc, Fittipaldi, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Hamilton, Sargent, Firestarter, Tsunoda, Iwasa, Ocon, Behrman, Perez, Ricciardo, Vesti, Stroll and Zhou Guanyu. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Well, here we are then, down on the grid, ready for the season opener here in Bahrain. 29 laps ahead of us, and of course, obviously, secure on this game is always a bit of a tyre killer. So I tend to opt to be kind of anti-risk in this first round of the year. We go medium to hard just to make sure we've got a good idea of what the car is like, and especially how the tyres handle, especially in a Haas. Because obviously this team struggled for so many years with tyre wear and tyre management as well. But looks like a lot of cars around us on the soft compound. Sargent in a Red Bull is extremely cursed. It's 5 red lights though, and it is going to be lights out and away we go for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Not the best start in the world. A little bit of wheel spin as we make our way in towards turn 1. Reigning champion Oscar Piastri as well doesn't get a particularly good getaway in towards that first corner as we will go 3 wide through the first turn. Just trying to recover a couple of places. And I've done a Nikita Mazepin almost. Just dropping the throttle down. Whoa, on the exit of the corner. Throttle seems to be incredibly sensitive at the start of the Grand Prix. So no idea what was going on with the car there. But luckily we avoided picking up any damage or anything else there. But yeah, just off of the exit of turn 1. Absolutely lit up the rear tyres there. I don't know if we just got a little bit of a wobble out over the curbing, but immediately we are having to try and push just to close back up to the rear of the field then. I mean, if you're going to have an off, lap 1 is certainly the time when you want to do it, but to kickstart the new year like that, not exactly what I had in mind. What is a 2-time Formula 1 world champion inside this game? Even when you do make errors, you can't kind of dwell on them. You've just got to be able to try and move forward once again. And rather unsurprisingly, yeah, those Sauber cars at the rear of the field. I'm so sorry, Fred Vesti. That was not my intention. I guess we'll accidentally get past the pair of them down at turn 1. That was not exactly what I had in mind there. But there was minimal contact with Fred. He did jump out of the way just about. Round 1 of the year, everybody is trying to get used to their new machines, so you've got to cut me a bit of slack. Well, here's a bit of a fun fact for you all then. Williams is actually the last team that Lance Stroll drove for that his dad didn't actually own. Of course, he's only actually driven for one team since then anyway, but you know, obviously quite weird to see Lance back in a Williams car inside this game, but hopefully we're going to be able to move past him nice and early on in this GP. You can already see starting to lose touch with those cars just up in front, so he wanted to squeeze me out. But we will get to the outside down to that first corner. Behrman going side by side with Esteban Ocon a little way up the road. And yeah, I think what we were just struggling with early on was tyre temperature actually off of the launch, because now the car seems to be a little bit more planted through those first couple of corners here, as Ocon and Behrman still side by side at the top of the hill. And Behrman has swept through then and back up into P14. So although it's still very early doors, I think I know who is going to be flying the Williams flag this season. Didn't expect it to be Sargent though flying the Red Bull flag, as we relegate Perez to 17th. We've got yellows out early on. I think that's a McLaren. I think that might be Lando Norris then, that becomes our first retirement of the all-new season, and that's going to promote Fernando even, into the lead of the Grand Prix. So certainly not the ideal start to the year for McLaren. I don't believe that's the first time in this game that we've seen Lando Norris retire from the opening race of the year. It's normally either him or, more alarmingly, me that ends up with a mechanical failure at the start of an all-new season there. But Fernando Alonso, I believe in this alternate timeline, he turns 50 this season. So the fact that he's still got what it takes in Formula 1, well, never mind got what it takes, he's leading now the Bahrain Grand Prix there, at least temporarily, wheel to wheel with George Russell down at those first couple of corners. The fact that Fernando is still right at the top of his game is certainly a very impressive feat as well. One of his former teammates, Esteban Ocon, he's not fighting for the lead.
position on Tsunoda for you. Okay, they're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Ah, no, Yuki Tsunoda then, early on here. You know, I hyped him up in pre-season testing. I've often hyped him up inside this game. You can see Ricciardo almost immediately then is going to try and capitalise there. The Alpine driver, not really much of a shock, is it, that Alpine are struggling with reliability issues, but as we try and go past Ollie Behrman then, there's going to be an opportunity here. We're almost going to make it 4 wide. I'll give Ollie the room in towards turn 1 there. I think temporarily we were 4 wide at the first corner. Still struggling with the brakes though on this car, so we run a little bit wide through turn 1. Try and get the power down through the exit of turn 2 and into turn 3. We're 3 wide again as we make our way up towards the top of the hill. Send it in, and we are finally up then into P12. You can see though Ricciardo and Hamilton, 2 of the most experienced drivers on the grid, next up ahead of me, but neither of them, I'm sure, fighting where they want to be. Oh, there we go. We'll start seeing our first cars into the pit lane then. Charles Leclerc going to be one of the first to blink of the all-new season. Yeah, Gasly as well. He's having a pretty good season opener here in Bahrain. You can see as well, I hadn't even noticed Yuma Wassa have been fighting up in the points early on in this GP. So, yeah, we're going to start seeing all of our soft compound runners in pretty soon. Although we're struggling on the mediums, they don't feel like they're wearing out too badly. So, again, we just get a bit of a wobble. I'm just trying to claim the DRS off cars where I can. There we go, our top 2 then into the pit lane as well. George Russell, Fernando Alonso both peeling in. Ferrari, I think that's Enzo Fittipaldi also in. So Oscar Piastri, our reigning world champion, is going to take the lead at the front of the order. There's Hamilton, Sargent as well, all in. So we are now. There weren't many of us actually that were running the medium compounded tyre at the start of this Grand Prix. Looks like everybody now has made the switch to hards. But we need to try and take this set a couple of laps longer here, just to kind of have the advantage in the second half of the race. Well, as Oscar Piastri then, our race leader, into the pit lane. I think it's just Perez, Ocon, and the Sauber, I believe, that is still yet to dive in. So we are going to now take the lead of the Grand Prix. I think it should say how bad the tyre wear is. We'll just confirming then with the team. We are going to dive in at the end of lap 12. The hard compound should be able to get us to the end. It's not uncommon though. I mean, Gasly's trying it. He's opting for a one-stop strategy then in this race, which, like I said, yeah, it isn't uncommon around this circuit. It looks like our top 3 though, Russell, Alonso, Leclerc, all opting for a more kind of normal strategy inside this race. But yeah, Gasly could make that work with a well-timed safety car or red flag later on. Logan Sargent on his return to Formula 1, having a really good race out at the moment inside the top 5. But as we come out then just behind Teo Pourchaire and Oscar Piastri. Oh, here we go. Hamilton trying to defend from Ricciardo in towards turn 1. Little bit of wheel bang in there between the pair of them as Ollie Behrman tries to close up to me. But we just need to get heat into the tyres nice and efficiently here. We can definitely still get a decent points result. Well, I gave V-Cars some stick in the pre-season, kind of just following Red Bull in a race to the bottom inside this game. But I say that, both V-Cars are. One of them's inside the points, the other one, Daniel Ricciardo, fighting for that final points-paying position right now in the Grand Prix with Lewis Hamilton there as they'll trip each other up out of turn 1. Ricciardo again. Oh, no! Ricciardo, I thought he was going to go the other way there. I tried to guess in which way it would go, and in shades similar to the season finale last season in Las Vegas, of course, where we lost the wing on the last lap on the rear end of Oscar Piastri. We're going to start the next season by going into the back of another Italian car with an Australian behind the wheel. That is not what we needed early on, and well, we might now be praying for a safety car or something, because that front wing damage is going to cost us. Oh, here we go again. Hamilton trying to look to the inside of Ricciardo in towards turn 1 as we get to half distance then. These two really are putting on a show right now as the Australian will keep the place down at turn 1 there. We almost went into the back of Lewis off of that first corner as again he will have a look to the inside line. We're almost 3 wide up at the top of the hill, but at the moment I'm just struggling. I'm trying to learn how the car handles, missing what a big part of our front wing here. If we can just stay with these two whilst they battle for DRS, that would be quite handy. But Ollie Behrman is getting impatient behind. No, no. Oh, man, this is going from bad to worse.
Damage to your front wing, damage to your front wing. Suggest we box to change it.
Just trying to roll the car back into that first corner there, and Hamilton just a tiny bit slower than I would expected him to be through that first corner. I mean, luckily, that damage hopefully won't have made much more difference, but you just see through the S's. Oh, we're going to have to definitely box now. We are all over the place. It's something I've really struggled with throughout the entirety of F1 24. But just, yeah, the cars in front really slow down a little bit more than I expect them to at an apex. I mean, look at everywhere we're going now. We're just trying to keep the car kind of rolling at the moment as we get a warning for exceeding track limits and getting a legal overtake on Ollie Behrman. I'm trying to give up the spot anyway without holding him up too much, but oh, this race is just turning into a disaster. Well, the really annoying bit about all this is that the hard compound tyre actually felt pretty good. I don't think I've got another one to the end of the afternoon, so I'm going to have to bolt on another medium, see us through to the checkered flag, but yeah, new wing set to go on. Just really, really annoyed there. Well, one of them, you know, was racing, kind of. I had to try and guess where Ricciardo was going to go. I just misjudged it. The other one, yeah, was a bit more of a stupid misjudgment that was completely my own doing. So I think we're going to be behind Yuki Tsunoda then in this Grand Prix. And I believe with Gasly needing to pit as well pretty soon. Really not looking good for Haas right now. We've got 12 laps or 13 laps to try and recover. But boy, oh boy, can we do with a safety car or a red flag. I mean, what is that? Trying to come out the pit lane and the car's breaking free on me. How bad are the rear brakes right now?
Whoa! What do I do?
We almost made through the first corner.
Well, this race then has been going so badly up to this point that even Mark has checked out as we make it in towards the final third. I'm still watching Pierre on the minimap, just hoping that he can try and get back into the points by the end of the afternoon. But I think sensibly, all we're going to be able to do is hopefully jump both those Alpines, the Saubers and Lance Stroll. I mean, for Alpine as well, I get that Yuki's have mechanical issues, but this has been a disastrous round one for them as well. As I mean, just look at how much the car wants to break free. I didn't even feel I was that much on the throttle, but it's all those little mistakes that just keep adding up. Well, last season here, it felt like pretty much everything that can go right in a Formula 1 Grand Prix did go right. This season, and it feels like the complete contrast of that, and I mean, probably it should have been a sign that we almost looped it round on lap 1. This car this weekend has just felt completely out of control. I've not had any confidence in it for any kind of prolonged period, and it's the way it kind of lulls you in, allows you to start believing that it may be a little bit stable, that you maybe figured it out, and then all of a sudden it all just goes a little bit pear-shaped and costs you, you know, another sort of 3-4 seconds there as banging wheels with Yuki Tsunoda up at the top of the hill. At least we're not in last anymore in this race, but hopefully we can drag Yuki back to his teammate. Well, oh no, we've got yellows towards the front of the order. I think, is that Fernando Alonso? Fernando Alonso, late on in the day with less than 2 laps to go. I think his Aston Martin has failed him here, and Fernando Alonso, he was in the fight for the win here in Bahrain. What a heartbreaking end to the first race of the season for the Spaniard there. I was just about to start talking about both Haas cars trying to move back through the order, but I cannot believe Alonso, what I thought might be a fairy tale start to the new season, is going to turn into a nightmare when all is said and done. I'm not even trying to get the jump on Esteban Ocon, he's just defending from me. Oh, in towards turn 1. But Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris, 2 of our top drivers early on today, that will surely raise questions about the power unit that Mercedes have brought ready for the new season there, with 2 of their customer teams suffering from mechanical failures to kickstart the year. But Fernando Alonso, 25 points here in Bahrain, is certainly going to deny him. So we will get down the inside of his former teammate in Esteban Ocon almost running to the back of Lance Stroll off the exit at the corner as well then. But that means with just one lap to go, Charles Leclerc now seems to have built up a little bit of a lead at the front of the order. He's got his former rival in George Russell and both cars of his former team in Ferrari trying to close up on him. But I think he's just been able to give himself a little bit of breathing room towards the end of the GP. No idea what's happening to Ollie Behrman as well. He seems to be struggling with reliability towards the end of the afternoon. So I think every Mercedes-powered team, apart from Mercedes, seemingly struggling here towards the end of the afternoon. But one lap to go then. We try and have a look around the outside of Lance Stroll there. Of course, as always, won't be aware that there's another car trying to battle with him around the outside of one of the Williams. We will go, and we could almost recover back to the points here, as I think Gasly is now inside that top 10. There goes Zhou Guanyu to the inside. Sorry, it's a Wasser even that's struggling towards the end of this one, not Ollie Behrman. So I think Behrman, yeah, he's got to be right up towards the points-paying positions as well then. But can we try and just claim a couple more spots here? Kind of, you know, make this hammer blow of a result feel slightly less bad on the final lap there. Charles Leclerc up the front of the order though. After a disappointing end to last season in Vegas, he is going to kickstart this season in the perfect possible way as he makes his way out of the final couple of corners. Charles Leclerc looks set to take victory in Sakir. We're just trying to make moves anywhere we can on this final lap there, as down the inside of a Wasser as well. We've definitely still got a bit of a tyre advantage over a lot of these cars there. But Charles Leclerc, he will win the season opening Bahrain Grand Prix and kickstart his World Championship hopes in style. I believe it has to be George Russell in P2. I would assume reigning World Champion Oscar Piastri in P3 there. Ferrari once again showcasing that they might not have the pace on Saturday, but they certainly do come Sunday afternoon. Both Haas cars, though, on a two-stop strategy was not the way to go. A terrible start to the new year for us. We didn't even score any points. We come through to finish unlucky P13.
What a drive! What a driver! Charles Leclerc takes the victory.
Well, you're always unsure of the competition and what your opponents have been able to do in the off-season, but they've come here today, they've delivered the performance that you dream about, and wow, did they make that car sing today. Really impressive stuff.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
Well, there we are then. Charles Leclerc will take victory here in Bahrain ahead of George Russell, but it's actually Enzo Fittipaldi that joins them both on the podium when all is said and done. So the Brazilian, we said obviously, you know, Season 5 was about him learning in Formula 1. Last year he was able to chalk up his first victories. This year, could we see the Brazilian fight for the world title there? Oscar Piastri in 4th ahead of Théo Pourchaire. Logan Sargent on his return to Formula 1 in P6. But can we yet say Théo Pourchaire for a debut drive? That was very good going. Ricciardo beats out Gasly with Hamilton and Perez rounding out our top 10 then. So a lot of drivers that probably didn't just deserve to score points today just are able to get into the top 10 there. Ollie Behrman will narrowly miss out for Williams, just ahead of both Saubers and myself there, with a Wasser, Stroll and both Alpines, your final finishes there. Alonso does get classified, but what a disappointing end for him. But yeah, Haas, we need to go back to the drawing board, because the car at the moment, it felt completely undrivable through separate sections in that race today. Championship-wise, of course, exactly the same as the race results there, but Constructors, Mercedes and Ferrari then. What year is this? Tied at the top of the table there. Only Williams, Sauber and Alpine yet to get points on the board after round 1, but I certainly think there's a bit of promise there that each of those teams can be competitive on circuits that suit their cars. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board, try and fix up a few things with this Haas in the next few rounds. If you have enjoyed though, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed to the channel. We'll be back ready from Jeddah in just a few days' time. But yeah, we'll be back very soon with more Formula 1 content.